Hi and good morning. Welcome to the Event Industry Facebook Live. I am Jen Singer, the founder of the Event Industry. How are y'all doing out there? Post-Halloween, working? Maybe you're not working. Maybe you're just lying in bed, sick, taking a day off and recovering from the Halloween weekend and then the actual holiday yesterday. We are, my event production team, we are getting ready for Dia de los Muertos this weekend. This is our first time producing the festival, and I'm really excited. I'm also already tired, and it's not even, we haven't even got to the event, which is tomorrow, but I know the adrenaline of the event will kick in. We're kind of crossing T's and dotting I's for everything today. And then the festivities begin tomorrow. So yeah, super excited about that. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If you're like, who is this lady and what are we talking about? The Event Industry, if you've just found us, is an online community for fellow event planners. I provide tools and resources, courses, and coaching for event planners, whether you are just starting out or you are a seasoned planner looking for more support. And every week on Friday at 10 a.m., I go live and talk about a topic and answer any questions that you might have. And today we're going to talk about managing client schedules. And this came from one of our listeners or followers reached out to me after an email we had sent a couple weeks ago talking about like getting through challenges and how to ask for help or where to get resources, and how producing events can be exciting and it's fun, but then there's also the stress, and then sometimes you just need help and you got to push through so the event can happen, and sometimes that's really tough. And so out of that email came a question about like, how do you manage client schedules? And that's like a really great question, because something I've been challenged with too, whether I've worked for a nonprofit or I work for a venue, and especially with having my own business and working with so many different clients and so many different needs, sometimes it comes up that there's a challenge. And time is your most valuable commodity that you just cannot buy more of. There is a number of hours in the day, and to me, it's very valuable that you spend that time, however you, I mean, obviously it's up to you, but that, you know, that people are not taking advantage of that. And I don't think that sometimes they take advantage to be malicious. They just like, people have their own agendas and things happen. And it's kind of important as a planner to kind of keep them on track. So there's things that I've kind of come up with to help keep everybody on track so it doesn't take up more of your time, or you don't get like, you can get less frustrated, or just kind of set expectations or guidelines. I'm going to go through 5 of those tactics with you, and hopefully this will help you for managing your appointments and meetings and schedules and stuff. Now, I like to, number 1, create a schedule for or a time frame for that meeting. So say that you know, okay, we need to meet and talk about, you know, catch up on all these things. Define the time frame. So don't just say we're going to meet on Friday at 2. Say we're going to meet on Friday from 2 to 3 or 2 to 3:30 or however long you think it's going to take. Make sure that you are setting that time so they don't think it's so open-ended that you're there at 2 until like whenever they say, you know, whenever you wrap up. So define the meeting time for anything so it's not open-ended and there's the expectation in advance. Send a calendar reminder. So once that time has been established, then you put it on the calendar, send them a calendar invitation so everybody has it on their schedule. They understand that you're meeting on Friday from 2 to 3, and that's when you're going to go over all the things. And that there's no confusion of like, oh, what time did we say? Or, you know, where are we meeting? Put the address of wherever you're meeting. So if it's at your office or if it's at their office or it's a Starbucks, whatever Starbucks it is, like put all the specifics in there so everybody knows when the meeting is and what time. Make sure that you are always on time and that you are consistent and that you start on time. I think I have kids. I don't know if any of you out there have kids, but I think you have to set the precedent and you have to be consistent, just like when you're parenting. If you are lackadaisy about what time you show up and when you start, then it'll kind of always carry on like that through the time that you're planning the event with them, and it'll be really hard to get back on track because it'll already be established of like, oh, well, you know, that day Jen was like 10 minutes late, so I guess we can be late. And so if you have people or clients that are always late and you're late sometimes too, then you'll probably be starting late on a lot of different meetings. So be consistent with your early, start on time for the meeting, and you kind of set the precedent and expectation. All right, number 4, create an agenda. Now, it doesn't have to be like crazy. It doesn't have to be like all the bullet points, but it will help you in establishing your starting on time, especially if you're doing the agenda that says like 10 minutes for this and, you know, 5 minutes for this. Also just give you an idea of like what are the things that you need to discuss so you maximize your time. I mean, a lot of times you'll be meeting with a client and you're like, oh wow, I know we need to talk about all these things, and if you don't write down all the bullet points, you can walk away going, okay, wait, we didn't establish this. We forgot to cover this. I still seem a little unclear about this. When you have it in an agenda, it's really easy for people to stay on track or make sure that you're covering all the elements of decisions that need to be made or questions that you have for them to go over. So an agenda is key. And then the last thing is, reading my notes, my own agenda notes, so I don't forget what to tell you. Now, I wouldn't recommend this unless it's someone that is consistently late, and this is to maybe plan accordingly for clients that are always late when you're meeting with all the vendors. So if you have a walkthrough, I have done this where I've told the client that it was at a little bit earlier than it was, knowing that they were probably going to be late because they're late for everything, and not wanting to hold up the vendor or the venue or any of the things. So as a last resort, just because if I have vendors that have time and we want to make sure that we get through all the things, I have done that, but I wouldn't recommend it for all clients. It's just really for clients that you meet and you really just don't want to hold up any of the other vendors that might have other schedules and other things to go through. And the last thing I would just add is, and this kind of ties back to the beginning of like creating the schedule, is that like have a firm end time, you know? So if you say 2 to 3, like let them know like I have a hard stop at 3 o'clock. Maybe you might have a little wiggle room with that, but sometimes they even say that just so we are clear that if I schedule an hour or an hour and a half that we need, that it doesn't turn into 2 hours or so forth. And this doesn't happen with a ton of clients, but it can. And just, you know, you need to be protective of your time and manage those expectations so it's not taken advantage of. So anyhow, just to recap, create a schedule of when you're going to meet, stick to that schedule. Send a calendar invitation with those timeframes, set out the location, all the logistics, so everybody's on the same page. Make sure that you are on time and that you are consistent and you set the precedent of expectation. So be a good example, lead with a good example. Create an agenda to follow that's going to cover all the items that you want to discuss during that meeting and the timeframes to cover. And then, you know, be flexible in terms of maybe you're scheduling with other vendors and things that you maybe need to manage up if you have a client that's always late. So anywho, I hope that helps you for your managing clients, and thank you to the person who reached out and asked that question. If you have any other questions, you can reach me at hello@theeventindustry.com. That's HELLO @theeventindustry.com. You can find more videos and tools and trainings at theeventindustry.com. That's theeventindustry.com. Next week, when you guys see me, this is our new office, and we're gonna have this all painted and a cool shelf. It's all very bland. But with this big festival this weekend, we haven't had time to do anything with this office. So more exciting things to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Have a good weekend.